Okay, welcome back. Last video we set up a data store for our players with these two lines up the top here, and then down the bottom, this is in our main script. So we just did this bit here. So basically what we've done is we've set up a spot on the server where we're going to set up new players, so they've got somewhere to save their data, and then they'll play our game for a while. And that data will then get saved when they leave the game, which will write that script. However, when they re-enter the game, it will load that data back in and they can continue where they left off. So the next thing we need to decide is, well, what data do we need to save? So if we come up the top of our main script, you'll see we create all these variables, etc. So we've got our leader stats. So log count, that's a good one because that's something that changes when they pick up a log. We want to know if they've got a flint or a stone, so we'll save these two as well. But when we get down to the player vars folder, we don't need to know if they have a log or they have a stone or they have a flint, etc. Alright? These are things that just tell us what's going on at the time. So if we're going to make it so we may have to just alter our code a bit later. However, we're going to make it that if they picked it up, we're going to change the value of stone and flint once. So this will automatically change later. So anyway, I'll get to that. I don't want to confuse you. Alright, so let's go down here. How do we then set up or put these variables into our data store? So let's come into our new player section here, alright, because we don't have any data yet, and directly under our print statement for now, we're just going to put in local start data. So this is what the player starts with. And we're going to create a table here, so the curly brackets, and just drop a couple of lines so we've got places to write. Now, what we're actually grabbing is the variable names up the top here. So for instance, log count, this is what we're grabbing here. Alright, so let's come down here and we'll simply put inside of square brackets and inverted commas, we'll put log count. And then over here we go equals 0. Alright, we'll do this for each one. So our stone equals 0 and our flint equals 0. No comma at the end of this one because this is in a table. I'll just set it out this way so you can read it a little bit better. However, if you prefer, you could just put it in one line there if you like. But that is what it should look like to start with. So directly below this table, so we've got a table of data. So I've got notifications popping up. Alright, directly below this table of data, we're going to create two variables called success, which means it worked, or error. Now there's a bit of a different way of doing things, but we're going to deal with a special function now in here called a pcall function. So simply type pcall and then open some brackets, then inside that type function and open another set of brackets. Alright, and then just outside that where we put it, just hit enter and you should have it look like this. So basically what a pcall function does is, if we're running our game and an error happens inside of here, it allows you to deal with that error through these variables, etc., without stopping the rest of your code running. And it's very useful, like I said, when we try to save or get data. If the server fails, we can set up to have another go at getting this data rather than stopping the whole game. So that's the purpose. Inside this, we're going to put one line that says player data. Okay, so remember this is our data stores, and a colon set async. Alright, now remember up the top we put get async, which means it's getting the data. This time we're going to set the async. Now this takes two arguments inside of the brackets. The first one is the player.user ID, so that gets the individual player's user data, and then we're going to save this table in here, so we'll put in start data in here. Alright, so what will happen here is the code will run through, it'll hit this line, try to save to the data store with this. If it's successful, okay, we'll get this, and if we have an error, we'll get this. So we really only need to test just below this for success. So if we put if success, then okay, we'll say print new player data setup. Alright, that'll let us know that it actually got a success here and it worked. Alright, and below this, so we'll put in an else statement. We'll say print new player data setup failed, and that'll let us know if this failed, and we can then deal with that later if need be. So let's save this. Now I'm sort of expecting this to error, and I'll explain why, and I wanted to leave it in here because it's a very common thing to happen. Alright, so we've saved and published it. Let's run it and see what happens now. It may run, may not, I'm not sure. Alright, so it did run, and that's wonderful. So new player data set up. So it means that we now have a data store set up. So it still won't do anything or save anything. However, if we come back into our script, we now have for my player these variables set up and ready to make changes to those in our script. Alright, so once we have that data, well, what do we want to do with it? Okay, so we've come up to the top here now. So this is our new player section. Remember, we have if data not equal to nil. So now if we have data, let's come down the bottom. Oh, we had two print statements down the bottom here too. Sorry, we'll just take that one out because we really only want one of these to show up. So got it twice. Anyway, up the top here, player data loaded. So what we want to do is, instead of setting things up, we want to change whatever is in the data, which would be this, to whatever value is in here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll type in here player log count dot value. Remember, this is already above in the script, so we can access it directly. Equals data square brackets. Remember, we're accessing a table or a dictionary, sorry. So this is a dictionary that we're using in here, and instead of looking for an index number, it's going to look for the name. So we want to find this. Okay, so it will find the name, but it will return the value back over here. Right, that can be a bit confusing, but that's how it works. So below this, we also want to do the same for the others. So stone dot value equals data and a stone player flint dot value equals data flint. All right, so that will bring the data into these things here when we've saved something to change it. Alright, so we're going to save that now and publish it, and we'll give it a try, and let's just see what happens. I'll clear my output so we can see what's going on, and let's click on play. More notifications. Alright, so we're in there and it says player data loaded. Now the only thing is with this is that we've already set up a data store, and it's just loaded in 0 information. We haven't actually done anything yet to say, well, while the game's running, save this data. So I think we'll stop this video here, and in the next video we'll actually set up the save function on when the player leaves the game, and that way we'll get a better idea of whether this is working correctly. So I'll see you in the next video.